Hey, welcome back. So in this lesson, we are concerned with streams and input and output, and also how we can manipulate the data that we send out or that we receive from some input. And primarily, we are focused on streams. So what is a stream? Well, a stream is an abstraction that acts as an interface between the C++ program and input or output devices. Input-output devices include the console. As we've seen, we can output using cout, we can output to the console. Cout is an object. Similarly, cin is an object. Other devices, physical devices, may include a drive. So you have a file on a drive, for example. The keyboard as well. We've seen that already with cin, with console input. For example, we can use a stream to open a file. And then any input or output operations that we perform on that stream will be physically reflected in the file on our drive. We'll talk more about files in future lectures in this lesson. So the programmer uses the abstraction for input and output and is not concerned with how the actual input-output is achieved. Having to write our own library would be very complicated, so we can just use what exists already. And then input and output streams are basically the flow of data from a source to a destination. Similar to a stream of water, input and output streams are concerned with the flow of data, right? Those are bunches of ones and zeros from a source to a destination. An input stream sends data to the program, or in other words, we extract data from an input stream. Similarly, an output stream receives data from the program, or we can insert data into the output stream. In this illustration, we have a program running to the right, and the user may want to enter a value from the keyboard, and we also may want to display something to the console. An example of an input device can be a keyboard or a file, because we may want to read from a file or from the keyboard. And then we have an input stream, such as standard cin, for example. Again, the stream is going to be an abstraction to work with the actual device. So that stream is simply an interface to the device. Okay, so we can do some input to the program, and then we can also do an output to some output device. We can use the standard cout object, for example, and then we can output to a file or to the console. Looking at this the other way around, the input stream is going to insert data into the program or provide data to the program, whereas the output stream is going to receive data from the program. On the website c++.com/reference/IO library, we have this nice illustration. And these are some of the files that we will work with when dealing with input and output. Also, sometimes you might hear IO. That simply means that refers to input and output. So iOS base, that is the base class for streams. Then you have iOS, for example, and you can see that goes to input stream, output stream. Finally, we have some of these objects that we are familiar with, such as cout, cin for input streams, and that is in the iostream file, for example. Then you also have file streams and so on, which we'll discuss later in this lesson. But the base class for that is iOS_base. Alright, so we have a basic understanding of what a stream is, a flow of data into or out of your program. In some of the upcoming lectures, we'll first discuss stream manipulators, so how we can manipulate data going out of or coming into our program. We've actually already discussed this to some extent with the standard end line, for example, to insert a new line and to also flush the stream. We'll discuss what flushing means in a bit more detail also in an upcoming lecture. We've also used the standard Boolean manipulator so that the output actually displays true or false instead of ones and zeros. And in this lesson, we'll discuss additional streams and we'll discuss additional functions on the cout and cin objects. So again, we'll start off with that, and then later on in the lesson we'll discuss file streams and how we can stream to a file or read from a file.